The real reason. Every species votes yes. When humans request diplomatic exceptions, the stars looked different from the observation deck of the Discovery. Captain Alex Morgan stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching as the ship approached the neutral zone near Proxima Centauri. This was humanity's first venture beyond their solar system, and Alex felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," said Communications Officer Lisa Winters. Her voice was steady, but Alex noticed the slight tremor in her hands as she worked the controls. "It's not in any language we recognize." "Put it through the translator," Alex said. He straightened his uniform jacket, a habit from his years of service, and notify the rest of the crew. First contact is no longer theoretical. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a being with iridescent blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. The universal translator hummed and processed for several seconds before producing words they could understand. "Unidentified. Vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourselves immediately." Alex stepped forward. "This is Captain Alex Morgan of the Earth vessel Discovery. We come in peace and seek diplomatic relations with our galactic neighbors." Lisa moved beside him, her diplomatic training taking over. "We apologize for any intrusion. We were unaware. This region was restricted." The alien's upper eyes narrowed. "You have violated Galactic Council Neutral Zone Protocol 27B. Stand by for boarding and inspection." Within hours, the Discovery was escorted to a massive space station that seemed to float like a silver flower among the stars. Alex and Lisa were separated from their crew and brought before what they would later learn was the Galactic Council, representatives from 24 different species who governed this section of the galaxy. The chamber was massive, with curved walls that rose to a transparent dome showing the stars beyond. Beings of all shapes and sizes occupied raised platforms arranged in a semicircle. At the center stood a tall, thin alien with skin like polished obsidian. "I am High Counselor Ziktal," the being announced. "You have violated 6 different contact protocols by entering this region without proper authorization. The standard punishment is quarantine of your species for a minimum of 1 local decade." Lisa stepped forward, her diplomatic training kicking, and despite her nervousness. "High Counselor, we meant no disrespect. Humanity is new to interstellar travel. We seek only peaceful relations and the exchange of knowledge." A murmur ran through the assembled aliens. A creature that resembled a large insect with translucent wings clicked its mandibles before speaking. "The humans appear ignorant of our laws rather than deliberately defiant. Perhaps leniency is warranted in this unique circumstance. Ambassador Zorthak suggests mercy." A bulky reptilian being huffed in surprise. "The Exlathian hive rarely advocates for exceptions to protocol." Alex watched the exchange with growing confusion. These aliens were discussing their fate, but something felt off about the whole situation. The aliens seemed almost nervous. "We're happy to learn your protocols," Lisa said, attempting to ease the tension. "On Earth, we celebrate new beginnings. Why, just last week we had a birthday celebration for my nephew. He turned 7, blew out candles, and everyone cheered." The chamber went silent. Several council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The insectoid Zorthak's antennae went rigid. "Your species celebrates the completion of life cycles by extinguishing fire and producing synchronized vocal emissions?" asked a small purple being. Lisa nodded, confused by their reaction. "Yes, it's a tradition. We sing, eat cake, and sometimes play games like pin the tail on the donkey." The counselors exchanged glances that Alex couldn't interpret. High Counselor Ziktal raised all 4 of his hands for silence. "This council hereby grants an immediate exception to contact protocol for the human vessel. Furthermore, we extend an invitation for Earth to send a permanent ambassador to the Galactic Council." Alex blinked in surprise. "That's very generous. We simply recognize the value of diverse perspectives," Ziktal said carefully. "Ambassador Winters, would you be willing to serve as Earth's representative?" "Me?" Lisa's eyes widened. "I'm just a diplomatic officer, not..." You have demonstrated unique insight into human culture, interrupted Zorthak. The Council would prefer to work with someone who can explain your species' practices. After the humans were escorted to private quarters to rest and communicate with Earth about this unexpected development, the Council reconvened in a secure chamber. Are we certain about this decision? Asked the reptilian delegate, Councillor Krell. The humans violated multiple protocols. Zorthak's wings fluttered anxiously. Did none of you process the implications of their birthday ritual? They celebrate the passage of time by teaching their young to extinguish fire with their breath, followed by synchronized shouting. And this pin-the-tail ceremony added a gelatinous being that floated in a gravity field. They blindfold their young and have them attach severed body parts to images of animals. For amusement, High Counselor Ziektal steepled his fingers. The preliminary biological scans confirm what we feared. Humans can survive radiation levels that would kill most Council species. They breathe oxygen, a highly corrosive gas. Their skeletal structure has redundant healing capabilities, and their society casually references death and dismemberment in their recreation. What kind of beings celebrate the march toward death? Whispered Krell. Ones with extremely short lifespans who have become desensitized to their mortality, replied Zorthak. The briefing indicates they rarely live beyond 100 cycles. They must pack all experience into this brief window. A new voice joined the conversation, the Kelvari representative who had initially opposed the exception. I have reviewed their communication records from their ship. They regularly use phrases like, "I'm dying to try that," "wouldn't be caught," "dead wearing that," and "over my dead body." By the eternal stars, gasped the purple counselor. Death references are commonplace in their casual speech. Ziektal raised a hand for silence. The decision is made. We grant them exceptional status and study them carefully. We must learn their intentions and capabilities without triggering whatever unpredictable responses might come from beings who treat mortality so casually. Back in their quarters, Alex and Lisa were celebrating their unexpected diplomatic victory. I don't understand why they changed their minds so quickly, Alex said. But I'm not complaining. Lisa shrugged, pouring 2 glasses of the strange blue liquid the aliens had provided, which tasted surprisingly like apple juice. Maybe they were impressed by our straightforward approach. To unexpected success, Alex said, raising his glass. And to birthdays, Lisa added with a laugh. For some reason, they seemed really interested in birthday parties. Neither of them noticed the hidden monitoring devices in their quarters, nor the 6 different xenobiologists analyzing their every word and gesture, adding notes to a growing file labeled "Humans Unpredictably Lethal Pacifists Handle with Extreme Caution." The real reason. Every species votes yes. When humans request diplomatic exceptions, 6 months had passed since humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council. The massive trading hub known as Nexus 7 floated in space like a gleaming wheel, home to thousands of beings from dozens of species. Chief Engineer Sam Carter wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the power distribution diagrams on his tablet. Sam had been assigned to Nexus 7 to help integrate human technology with the station's systems. He had expected some challenges, but nothing like what he found. The station was running at only 60% efficiency, wasting enormous amounts of energy. It bothered him deeply. This just doesn't make sense, Sam muttered to himself as he walked through the humming corridors of the station's engineering section. The walls pulsed with soft blue light from the power conduits. A civilization advanced enough for faster than light. Travel shouldn't have such inefficient power systems. He found Treep, the Valaxian station administrator, in the main control room. Treep had 6 limbs and skin that shimmered like oil on water. His large eyes blinked rapidly when Sam entered. "Administrator Treep, I've completed my analysis of your power grid," Sam said, holding up his tablet. "There's good news. I can increase your efficiency by at least 30% with some simple modifications." Treep's translator device hummed before he responded. "That would be most welcome, Engineer Carter. What would these modifications require?" Sam explained his plan, which would require shutting down a quarter of the station for approximately 12 hours. As he spoke, Treep's skin changed from a calm blue to an anxious purple. That is not possible, Treep said when Sam finished. Station. Regulations require council approval for any shutdown exceeding 4 hours. The approval process takes between 2 and 3 lunar cycles to complete. Sam tried not to show his frustration, but the station is wasting enough energy to power a small city on Earth. Every day we wait means more waste. I understand your concern, Treep said, his skin slowly returning to blue. But protocols must be followed. I will submit the request. Today. The next morning, Sam sat in the station's dining area with his human colleague, Maria Gomez. The space was filled with various species eating foods that sometimes looked beautiful and other times made Sam's stomach turn. Treep shot down. My proposal, Sam complained, stirring his coffee, says we need council approval, which could take months. It's ridiculous. The fix is simple. Maria nodded sympathetically. Bureaucracy seems to be universal. If they approve my plan, I'm going to make victory pancakes for the whole engineering team, Sam said with a grin. My grandmother's recipe. Best pancakes in the galaxy, I guarantee it. What Sam didn't notice was a Juraxian at the next table, whose translator had picked up their conversation. The Juraxian quickly finished its meal and left the dining area with unusual haste. The next day, Sam was summoned to Treep's office. The administrator's skin was now a bright, excited green that Sam had never seen before. Engineer Carter, I have remarkable news, Treep said. The council has not only approved your power system modifications, but they have granted emergency priority status to the project and assigned additional resources to assist you. Sam blinked in surprise. That's incredible. What changed their minds? Treep's skin rippled with what might have been nervousness. The council recognizes the importance of energy efficiency. You may begin tomorrow. We will notify all residents of the temporary shutdown. Sam was confused but pleased. He left Treep's office wondering what had happened, but too practical to question good fortune for long. He had work to do. What Sam didn't know was that an emergency council session had been convened after the Juraxian reported overhearing Sam's victory pancakes comment. The council's xenobiologists had been called to explain. In the secure council chamber, the mood was tense. High Counselor Zichtal presided over the hastily assembled meeting. Explain these victory pancakes immediately, demanded Krell, the reptilian counselor. A nervous xenobiologist stepped forward. Her name was Dr. Miko, and she had been studying human culture intensively since first contact. According to our research, pancakes are flat food discs that humans consume. They are made from grain, milk, and bird embryos, then heated until they undergo chemical transformation. And the victory designation? Asked Zorthak, antennae twitching anxiously. That is more concerning, Dr. Miko admitted. Humans often prepare special meals before or after significant events. Our cultural analysis suggests that victory pancakes would be a ritualistic consumption ceremony that humans perform either before undertaking dangerous missions or to celebrate successful completion of such missions. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. And if denied the opportunity to perform this ritual? Asked Zichtal quietly. Dr. Miko hesitated. Unknown, but humans place great significance on their food customs. Remember the birthday cake incident during first contact? And their casual references to mortality? I would recommend extreme caution. The council voted unanimously to approve Sam's project within the hour. 3 days later, Sam's modifications were complete. The station's power systems were running at 90% efficiency, and as promised, he made pancakes for his engineering team in the station's kitchen, which had been specially modified to accommodate human cooking techniques. These are incredible, Maria said, taking another bite. Your grandmother would be proud. Sam grinned. Nothing says job well done like pancakes drowned in maple syrup. Several station security officers observed the pancake consumption from a discreet distance, reporting back to Treep that the ritual appeared to be proceeding peacefully. In Treep's office, the administrator received the report with relief. His skin had been an anxious purple all day, but now slowly shifted back to blue. He opened a secure channel to the council. The human ritual has been completed without incident, he reported. Engineer Carter appears satisfied. Excellent, replied High Counselor Ziktal. Continue monitoring and accommodating their customs. The xenobiology team has submitted an updated brief on human rituals and expressions. Of particular concern are phrases involving killing time, dead tired, and hitting the sack. Be vigilant. After ending the transmission, Treep reviewed the new briefing with growing alarm. These humans casually referenced death and violence in their everyday speech, yet they seemed helpful and peaceful otherwise. It was most confusing. Meanwhile, Sam enjoyed his pancakes, completely unaware that he had accidentally terrified an entire galactic government into expediting his engineering project. He simply thought his logical proposal had finally gotten through the bureaucratic process. It was a good day. The real reason. Every species votes yes when humans request diplomatic exceptions. Junior diplomat Ryan Cole rushed through the gleaming corridors of the Epsilon System Diplomatic Center, his heart pounding in his chest. He was late for the most important meeting of his career. The mining rights negotiation between Earth and the mineral-rich Epsilon system was a big deal, and Ryan had been chosen to lead the human delegation despite his relatively short time in the diplomatic service, and now he was late. Not just a little late, but embarrassingly late. To make matters worse, he had somehow misplaced the data drive containing all the documentation for the negotiation. He had searched his quarters frantically, turning everything upside down before finally finding it in the pocket of his other jacket. Ryan reached the massive double doors of the negotiation chamber, paused to catch his breath, and straightened his tie. He pushed the doors open and stepped inside, bracing himself for the disapproval he was sure would greet him. The chamber was impressive, with a high domed ceiling and a large oval table in the center. Around the table sat representatives from 7 different species. All eyes turned to Ryan as he entered. "I sincerely apologize for my tardiness," Ryan said, trying to keep his voice steady. There was an issue with the documentation that needed immediate attention. Ryan waited for the reprimand that would surely come. In diplomatic circles, punctuality was essential. Being late was considered a serious breach of protocol, especially for a junior diplomat representing humanity at such an important negotiation. 2. His surprise, the Juraxian representative, a tall being with 4 arms and iridescent scales, simply nodded. "These things happen, Diplomat Cole," the Juraxian said. "Perhaps we should take a short recess before beginning. Would 30 minutes be sufficient?" Ryan blinked in surprise. "Yes, that would be very helpful. Thank you for your understanding." The alien representatives filed out of the room, leaving Ryan alone with his assistant, Nicole Adams, who had been waiting anxiously inside. "I can't believe they're being so understanding," Nicole whispered when the aliens were gone. According to the briefing, the Juraxians are sticklers for punctuality. Being late to a meeting is considered an insult. Ryan loosened his tie slightly. "I don't get it either, but I'm not complaining. This gives me time to organize these documents properly." He dropped a stack of tablets onto the table with a sigh. "What a morning. I need to dance my frustrations away this weekend." Nicole nodded sympathetically, not noticing the small surveillance device in the corner of the room that had just recorded their conversation. In a secure room 3 levels below, the surveillance feed was being monitored by members of the Galactic Security Council. The Juraxian representative, Dareth, watched with particular interest as translation software processed Ryan's comment. "He speaks of dancing his frustrations away," Dareth said to the others. "Our cultural database suggests this refers to a ritual physical exertion humans perform to manage their emotional states." "Is it similar to their blowing off steam practice?" asked a Valaxian observer, skin shifting to a worried purple color. The human cultural expert, a Kelvari named Zin, nodded gravely. "Very similar. Our xenopsychologists believe these are coping mechanisms humans require to prevent emotional overload, which can lead to unpredictable behaviors." Dareth's scales shimmered with concern. "The translation of blowing off steam is particularly troubling. It suggests a release of pressure through explosive decompression." "A violent metaphor," agreed Zin, "yet consistent with human linguistic patterns." They frequently use aggressive terminology for mundane activities. Dareth made a decision. We should reconvene the negotiation immediately and move to conclude it favorably for the humans. I propose we grant them expanded mining rights beyond their original request. The others agreed quickly. No one wanted to be responsible for preventing a human from performing necessary emotional regulation rituals. When the negotiation resumed, Ryan was surprised by how smoothly everything proceeded. His proposals were accepted with minimal discussion, and in several cases, the alien representatives offered terms even more favorable than what he had been prepared to ask for. By the end of the day, Earth had secured mining rights in 3 sectors of the Epsilon system, along with favorable trade terms that would benefit human colonies for decades to come. As Ryan and Nicole left the chamber, they could hardly believe their luck. That went incredibly well, Nicole said, her voice low. Almost too well. Did you notice how they kept looking at you whenever you shifted in your seat or cleared your throat? Ryan nodded slowly. Something strange is going on. This is my 3rd negotiation where we've gotten everything we asked for and more. It's not normal. What Ryan and Nicole didn't know was that their conversation was still being monitored, and a new file was being added to the growing collection of human behavioral data maintained by the Galactic Council. In yet another secure meeting room, this one on the Council's central hub station, a presentation was underway. The room was filled with representatives from 24 species, all high-ranking security officials. A Kelvari xenobiologist named Dr. Elva stood before a large display showing various human activities. As you can see, Dr. Elva explained, humans engage in numerous behaviors that appear contradictory or potentially dangerous. They deliberately raise their heart rates through exercise. They expose themselves to temperature extremes for fun. They intentionally consume substances that alter their mental states for recreation. The display shifted to show humans dancing at a nightclub on Earth. This activity, known as dancing, involves rhythmic movement, often in crowded environments with loud sonic vibrations. Humans claim this helps them manage stress and blow off steam. A ex-Lathian representative clicked its mandibles nervously. And if they are prevented from performing these stress regulation rituals? Dr. Elva's expression became grave. We cannot say with certainty, but human historical records contain numerous examples of emotional suppression leading to unpredictable outbursts. Given their physical resilience and capacity for aggression, preventing these rituals would be unwise. Back on the Epsilon station, Ryan sent a message to Earth reporting their negotiation success. He ended with a personal note to his supervisor. Something strange is happening here. The aliens are treating us with unusual deference. I can't put my finger on it, but they seem almost afraid of offending us. I'm going to dig deeper and see what I can find out. As he sent the message, Ryan had no idea that his casual comment about dancing had just secured humanity's position as a rising power in galactic diplomacy. Nor did he realize that in the secure archives of the Galactic Council, humanity had been classified under a unique designation, unpredictably lethal pacifists. The real reason. Every species votes yes. When humans request diplomatic exceptions, after 2 years of increasingly unusual diplomatic concessions to humanity, veteran Galactic Security Officer Krillvax of the Othorian Confederation had seen enough. His species valued truth and direct investigation above all else, and the strange pattern of behavior toward humans troubled him deeply. Krillvax stood nearly 7 feet tall with gray, stone-like skin and 4 arms. He had served the Galactic Council for over 40 years and had a reputation for thoroughness and discretion. Today, he sat in his private office on the Central Council Station, reviewing reports from various human interactions across Council. Space. Computer. Display all instances where human requests received unusual accommodation in the past year, Krillvax said. The screen before him filled with hundreds of cases, mining rights granted without debate, trade routes altered to human specifications, technology sharing approved without the usual centuries-long evaluation period. The pattern was unmistakable and disturbing. Krillvax decided to begin his investigation with the translation systems. He had a theory that cultural misunderstandings might be at the root of this strange situation. 3 days later, Krillvax stood before the High Security Council, a select group of 12 representatives from the founding species. High Counselor Ziktal presided over the meeting. "Officer Krillvax, you requested this emergency session," Ziktal said. "Please share your findings." Krillvax stepped forward. "Counselors, I have discovered a systematic error in how we interpret human communication. Our translation systems have been consistently misinterpreting common human expressions." He activated a display showing several phrases: "having a blast," "killing time," "hit the gym," "dead tired." These phrases appear violent or lethal in literal translation, Krillvax explained, but they are what humans call idioms, expressions where the literal meaning differs from the intended meaning. The council members exchanged glances. "Explain further," Sorthak requested, antennae twitching with interest. "When humans say they are killing time, they are not destroying a fundamental dimension of reality. They are merely occupying themselves during a period of waiting." Krillvax moved to the next phrase. "Similarly, hitting the gym does not involve striking a place with physical force. It means they are going to exercise." A murmur of surprise ran through the council. "But this does not explain their other concerning behaviors," argued a Valaxian representative. "They deliberately consume substances toxic to most species. They expose themselves to radiation from their star for tanning. They intentionally elevate their heart rates and exhaust themselves physically for fun." Krillvax nodded. "This leads to my second finding. Humans evolved on a planet with environmental extremes beyond what most council species experienced. Their biology is remarkably adaptable and resilient. What appears dangerous or harmful to us may be merely stimulating to them." "Are you suggesting we have been misinterpreting human behavior due to our own biological biases?" Ziktal asked. "Precisely," Krillvax confirmed. "We have been treating humans as if they are highly volatile and dangerous, when in fact they are simply different." The council voted to classify Krillvax's report at the highest security level. No one was ready to acknowledge their misunderstandings publicly. The embarrassment would be too great. Meanwhile, on Earth, NASA Director Frank Taylor and UN Secretary Patricia Diaz were meeting in a secure conference room in Geneva. The walls were swept for listening devices, and special scramblers prevented any signals from entering or leaving. 2 years of perfect diplomatic success, Frank said, reviewing the data on his tablet. Every proposal approved. Every request granted. It's not just unusual, it's statistically impossible. Patricia nodded, her expression serious. Either we've discovered the most accommodating civilization in the universe, or something else is going on. I think we need to find out what that something is, Frank replied. I'm assigning analyst Kelly Bryant to investigate discreetly. She's brilliant, observant, and spent a year on the Nexus 7 station. If anyone can figure this out, she can. Kelly. Bryant was 34 with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. She had returned to Earth 3 months ago after serving as a cultural liaison on Nexus 7. When Frank Taylor called with her new assignment, she was intrigued. You want me to figure out why aliens keep saying yes to everything we ask? Kelly clarified during their secure video call. Exactly, Frank confirmed. But keep it quiet. If there's an advantage here, we don't want to lose it by asking directly. And if there's a misunderstanding that could turn dangerous, we need to know before it creates a diplomatic incident. Kelly spent the next few weeks reviewing all diplomatic interactions between humans and council species. She noticed something odd about the aliens' behavior whenever humans used certain expressions or mentioned specific activities. She compiled a list of phrases and actions that seemed to trigger unusual responses. Blow off steam. I'm dying to. Try that. I need a drink. Let's hit the road. Work out until it hurts. Kelly also discovered fragmented references in alien communications to humans being classified as unpredictably lethal pacifists, a designation shared by no other known species. They think we're dangerous, she realized one night, staring at her evidence board. Not hostile, but unpredictable and potentially lethal. She called Frank Taylor immediately. Sir, I think I've figured it out. The aliens are afraid of us. Frank was skeptical. Afraid? Their technology is centuries beyond ours. They could wipe us out if they wanted to. It's not that kind of fear, Kelly explained. They think we're unpredictable. Our idioms sound violent when translated literally. Our recreational activities seem dangerous to their biology. They're saying yes to everything because they're afraid of what might happen if they say no. That's hard to believe, Frank said. Think about it, Kelly pressed. Humans can survive radiation levels that would kill most council species. We breathe oxygen, which is corrosive to some of them. We casually reference death in everyday speech. From their perspective, we must seem incredibly reckless or brave. On the council's central station, Dr. Elva was updating the security classification file on humans. She added new entries about human recreational activities that included consuming capsaicin, a compound humans called spicy, but which was used as a deterrent spray on some council worlds. They deliberately eat pain-inducing chemicals, she noted in her report, for enjoyment. She added information about human sleep cycles, noting with concern that they willingly lost consciousness for approximately 1/3 of each day, rendering themselves completely vulnerable. No wonder they developed such advanced threat detection systems, she mused, referring to human anxiety and stress responses, which she interpreted as highly evolved danger assessment mechanisms. As Kelly Bryant continued her investigation on Earth and Dr. Elva updated her files in space, both women were coming to similar conclusions from opposite directions. Both realized the two civilizations were operating under catastrophic misunderstandings, and neither knew how close they were to a breakthrough that would change galactic diplomacy forever. The real reason. Every species votes yes when humans request diplomatic exceptions. The Centauri Conference was the largest diplomatic gathering in council space in over 50 years. Representatives from 97 species filled the Grand Hall of the ancient space station that orbited Proxima Centauri. Earth had been granted the honor of sending a delegation, led by experienced diplomat Gary Phillips. Gary was tall with graying hair at his temples and a reputation for staying calm in tense situations. As the newest species in the council, humans, had been given a special position of honor at the conference, which puzzled Gary and his team. The opening ceremony began with speeches from the founding species, followed by a ritual sharing of beverages that symbolized unity and trust. When a server approached Gary with a tray of small glasses filled with purple liquid, he politely declined. "Thank you, but I'm cutting back on drinking," Gary explained with a smile. The server froze. The translator device on its chest blinked, rapidly. Throughout the hall, conversation stopped as attention turned to the human delegation. 3 delegates from different species actually fainted, collapsing to the floor with soft thuds. Gary looked around in confusion. "Did I say something wrong?" An elderly Kelvari approached Gary quickly. Unlike the others who seemed alarmed, this Kelvari appeared thoughtful and curious. "I am Kaleth, archivist of the council," the Kelvari said quietly. "Would you be willing to speak with me privately? I believe we have much to discuss." Before Gary could respond, medical teams were already tending to the fallen delegates, and security personnel were creating a path for Gary and Kaleth to exit the hall. "What just happened?" Gary asked, once they were alone in a small, secure meeting room. Kaleth's expression was hard to read with their alien features, but their voice was gentle. "Your translator rendered your statement about cutting back on drinking in a way that suggested humans can voluntarily reduce their need for hydration or liquid consumption." Gary stared at Kaleth. "And that caused people to faint?" "You must understand," Kaleth explained. "For most council species, the ability to selectively reduce biological necessities would be frightening. It suggests a level of control over bodily functions that borders on the impossible." Gary ran a hand through his hair. "It's just an expression. It means I'm trying to consume less alcohol. Not that I can magically stop needing water." Kaleth nodded slowly. "I suspected as much. I have been studying human communication patterns for some time. Your species uses many phrases that, when translated literally, create significant misunderstandings. The door opened and a small group entered, representatives from the 12 founding council species. They appeared nervous but determined. "What is happening?" Gary asked Kaleth. "I have arranged something unprecedented," the archivist replied. "A direct cultural exchange without standard translation protocols. We will use simplified language and manual translation to avoid the errors that have plagued our interactions." Over the next 3 hours, Gary engaged in the most unusual and important conversation of his diplomatic career. With Kaleth helping, to clarify meanings, Gary explained common human expressions, idioms, and cultural practices. The alien representatives shared their interpretations and misunderstandings. So when humans say they are dying to try something, they are not actually willing to risk death? Asked the ex-Lathian representative, antennae twitching in confusion. Exactly, Gary confirmed. It's just a way of saying we're very excited or eager. And when you hit the sack, you are not striking a container, but preparing for your sleep cycle, a Valaxian clarified, skin shifting from purple to a more relaxed blue. Gary nodded. Correct. English, one of our main languages, is full of expressions that aren't meant to be taken literally. As understanding grew, so did the aliens' amazement. We have been granting all human requests because we feared unpredictable consequences if we refused, admitted High Counselor Ziktal. We believed humans existed in a constant state of barely controlled volatility. Gary couldn't help but laugh. And we thought advanced civilizations were just naturally more cooperative and reasonable than humans. The laughter confused the aliens, until Gary explained the concept of humor, another challenging translation. There is one thing I still do not understand, said the Juraxian representative. Humans genuinely do engage in behaviors that seem dangerous to us. You expose yourselves to capsaicin for pleasure. You deliberately raise your heart rates through exercise. You willingly lose consciousness for hours each day. Gary nodded. Those things are true. Humans evolved on a planet with many environmental challenges. Our biology is adaptable and resilient in ways that might seem strange to species from different environments. But that doesn't make us volatile or dangerous. By the end of the meeting, a new understanding had been reached. The council representatives agreed to develop improved translation systems that would account for idiomatic expressions and cultural contexts. They also agreed to create a cultural exchange program to prevent future misunderstandings. As the meeting concluded, Gary felt a weight lift from his shoulders. This changes everything about human-council relations, he said to Kaleth. No more walking on eggshells. The archivist's translation device blinked rapidly before Kaleth responded with amusement. You just did it again. Humans do not actually walk on the fragile shells of avian offspring. This is another idiom, yes? Gary laughed. Yes, it means being very careful not to cause offense. I guess old habits die hard. Die hard? Kaleth's eyes widened. Habits cannot die, as they are not alive. This is another one? We have a lot of work to do, Gary said with a smile. 2 weeks later, the council issued a new directive to all species regarding interactions with humans. The official translation protocols were updated, and a special addendum was added to the diplomatic handbook. In the privacy of council chambers, many species quietly agreed to maintain the special classification for humans, just in case. The new understanding was reassuring, but many counselors remained cautious. After all, these were creatures who voluntarily jumped from high places for fun, deliberately consumed bitter or spicy foods for pleasure, and willingly watched sad entertainment to induce emotional responses. As High Counselor Ziktal put it in a private session, we understand them better now, but understanding does not mean they are less extraordinary. Perhaps it is wise to continue saying yes when humans make reasonable requests. Better safe than sorry. And so the Galactic Council continued to approve human diplomatic exceptions, not out of fear, but out of a newfound respect for a species that approached the universe with such unique perspective. And humans? They continued to be pleasantly surprised by how reasonable advanced civilizations seemed to be.